Those questions matter more than technical description because art at this level is not trying to answer the world. It is trying to deepen our relation to it. Knops' work and the work of sculptors like him can be understood as a form of worldly meditation. A meditation made not of incense or ritual objects, but of steel, stone, and the human silhouette. A meditation in which the body meets form, and form meets space, and space meets the soul of the viewer. That is the real reason these sculptures endure. Not because they are simply impressive, not because they are large, not because they are clever, but because they quietly insist that there is more to material existence than matter alone. They tell us that structure can carry feeling, that weight can carry grace, that silence can carry memory, that the human being, even when reduced to a line, a profile, a balance, or a gesture, still radiates meaning. And in that sense, the sculpture is not just in the world, it is asking the world to become more aware of itself. What makes his voice distinctive is that he often keeps the human image close enough for us to feel it, but distant enough for us to think about it. His figures are not portraits. They are presences. They are not individuals with names. They are conditions of being. They are the human form simplified until it becomes almost universal. This is important spiritually because the spiritual life always moves toward the universal, not toward vagueness, but toward essence. A figure in Knops' work is not just a body. It is a reminder that we are all embodied beings trying to move through the same fragile world. His sculptures often suggest transit, crossing, threshold, and relation. These are not minor themes. They are among the oldest spiritual themes in human history. To cross is to change. To bridge is to connect what was separated. To balance is to live without certainty, yet without collapse. To sit is to remain present. To stand is to witness. To wave is to acknowledge another soul across distance. In this way, the forms in his work are almost like secular icons. They do not preach, but they point. And perhaps that is what spiritual sculpture does best. It points beyond itself without leaving the earth. Knops also understands the dignity of ordinary things. This is one of the most beautiful qualities a sculptor can have. A sofa, a beam, a wave, a stepping figure, a support structure, a sitting place, a walking place, a crossing place. All of these can become more than functional objects when they are touched by vision. In his hands, the ordinary is not reduced, it is elevated, not made glamorous, but revealed. And revelation is one of the deepest spiritual acts. There's a kind of humility in this approach. The sculptor does not say, "Look at me." He says, "Look more closely at what you thought you already knew." That is a sacred gesture. It changes the viewer. It asks us to slow down enough to perceive meaning where we previously saw only utility or shape. This is also why public sculpture matters so much in his kind of practice. A sculpture placed in shared space is not hidden away for specialists. It enters the everyday life of people. It watches the city breathe. It receives rain, shadow, footsteps, passing glances. It becomes part of collective memory. Over time, it stops being merely an artwork and begins becoming a presence. People may not know the theory behind it, but they feel whether it belongs. If it does, it acquires a soul in the public imagination. That is the mysterious power of good sculpture. It can become larger than interpretation, while remaining intimate to human experience. And perhaps that is why artists like Knops are worth studying not only with the mind, but with a more inward attention. Their work is not just about form and space. It is about how the human spirit inhabits matter. It is about the way the invisible presses against the visible, until the visible begins to glow with meaning. If we approach these sculptures spiritually, then we stop asking only what is it made of, and begin asking what kind of presence does it create? What state of being does it reflect? What does it ask of the person who stands before it? What kind of silence does it produce? When we look at the work of a sculptor like Egidius Knops, we should not begin with the surface of the world. We should begin with the silence beneath it. Because sculpture, at its deepest level, is not simply about shape. It is about presence. It is about weight. It is about how matter can become a vessel for something invisible. A sculpture stands in the world the way a human being stands in the world, upright, vulnerable, and full of unspoken meaning. Knops belongs to that tradition of sculptors who do not try to overwhelm us with spectacle, but instead invite us into a slower and more serious kind of seeing. His work feels as if it comes from a place where form is not decoration but necessity. Nothing is casual. Every line, every band, every support, every balance is a response to a deeper condition, and that condition is not merely physical. It is existential. It is spiritual. Knops, like a number of sculptors working in the European modern tradition, seems to understand that the human being is always in transition. We are never completely still. We are never completely at home in the world. We are always crossing something, carrying something, balancing something, becoming something. His sculptures do not describe this condition directly like a story. They embody it. They let matter itself speak the language of uncertainty, connection, and passage. That is why his work feels important even when it is quiet. He is not trying to dominate space. He is trying to awaken it. And this is where the spiritual dimension begins. A sculpture can be spiritually powerful without being religious. It can become sacred simply by refusing emptiness, not empty in the physical sense, but empty in the emotional sense. Knops' sculptures, especially those that bring together the human figure and structural form, seem to say that the world is not inert. The world is charged. Stone is not just stone. Steel is not just steel. A beam can become a path. A wave can become memory. A seat can become a place of meeting. A figure can become a symbol of every person who has ever crossed from one state of being into another. This is why artists like Knops matter. They remind us that sculpture is not merely object making. It is meaning making through material. There is something deeply human in the way his forms relate to balance. Balance is not the same as perfection. Balance is not the absence of tension. Balance is tension held in a living form. A sculptor understands this better than most people because the work itself must survive gravity. It must resist collapse. It must stand without apology. In that sense, sculpture is almost a spiritual discipline. It is the art of making form hold meaning without breaking under its own weight. And this is true not only for Knops, but for sculptors like Chillida, Moore, Serra, Gormley, Haber, and Plicat as well. Each of them, in different ways, works with the same ancient question: how can matter carry the invisible? Henry Moore often turned the body into a landscape. Eduardo Chillida turned space itself into a kind of thinking body. Richard Serra made weight feel philosophical. Anthony Gormley made the human figure into an instrument of silence and witnessing. Shammai Haber found something elemental in stone, as if the rock remembered older truths than the culture around it. Jörg Plicat shaped monumental form so that it would not merely occupy space, but enter into dialogue with it. And Knops shares this broad spiritual family, though his voice is his own.